1946. A big orchestra and lots of movie stars. Bugsy had seen to every detail, but the grand opening was a flop. This enraged some of the boys in New York, who had already suffered a $5 million overrun on construction costs. Meyer Lansky, one of Bugsy's oldest friends, is most likely the one who signed Bugsy's death warrant. Bugsy must have been feeling good on this June spring night. It was 6 months since the Flamingo's disastrous opening, and now the money was rolling in. He must have felt vindicated, powerful, on top of the world. But there were those who felt it would be a better world without Bugsy, so someone did a professional job of shooting him. The first bullet smashed into his head, knocking one of his eyeballs 15 feet away across the floor. 4 bullets tore into his body, ripping up his lungs and ribs. 4 other bullets missed, but it didn't matter, and whoever did it got away with it. It remains to this day an unsolved murder of one of Hollywood's most notorious celebrities. Johnny Stompanato Jr., a man to put fear into strong men's hearts, an ex-bodyguard to gangster Mickey Cohen. No one ever gave Johnny any guff and got away with it. He knew how to crush his enemies. Yet it was just a 14-year-old girl who offed him, stabbed him in the stomach with a kitchen knife. She was defending her mother, who Stompanato had threatened to kill. The 14-year-old girl was Cheryl Crane, and her mother, one of Hollywood's most glamorous movie stars, Lana Turner. Lana instantly became famous after appearing in a 1937 movie entitled They Won't Forget. In her role, she wore a form-fitting cashmere sweater. She became known as the Sweater Girl. She was just 15 years old. During the Second World War, she became a popular pinup girl for the GIs. After the war, her movie career soared. Her best-known pictures were The Postman Always Rings Twice, released in 1946, and Peyton Place, for which she won an Academy Award in 1958. Her screen persona somewhat paralleled her private life. She married 7 times and had numerous lovers. One of these lovers was Johnny Stompanato Jr. He had pursued her, showered her with gifts and flowers. He was relentless, and it paid off. For a few months they had a good time together, but the relationship soured, and Lana tried to dump Stompanato, unsuccessfully. Then on April 4th, 1958, in this house in Beverly Hills, the relationship finally came to a sudden end. Cheryl overheard Stompanato threatening to kill her mother. She ran to the kitchen and got a 10-inch butcher knife. She returned to the bedroom, where she plunged it into Stompanato's stomach. Or as one theory has it, he simply ran into the knife. At any rate, the knife severed his aorta, and he died on the floor. There was an inquest, and after less than an hour, the coroner's jury ruled that it was a justifiable homicide, that Cheryl killed to protect her mother. Whatever happened to Alfalfa from the Our Gang comedies, the freckle-faced, squeaky-voiced kid with that irrepressible cowlick? From 1935 to 1942, he was a star, appearing in 60 shorts for Hal Roach. Before he was a teenager, he was on top of his career. But soon his sweet life took a sour turn. His real name was Carl Schweitzer, and the first bad thing that happened was that Carl got too old to play Alfalfa, so Hollywood killed the lights on his career. He barely made a living as a part-time bartender at a tavern in Studio City, and he and a friend by the name of Bud Stilts hooked up in a bear hunting business. Carl was a sometime guide to such celebrities as Roy Rogers and Henry Fonda. He developed a friendship with them, and they in turn helped him to get a few bit parts. His most promising small part came in 1958 with United Artists, The Defiant Ones, starring Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis. He hoped his good performance would help resurrect his career. But while he was waiting for the picture's release, things got worse. He became morose and drank heavily. He even had the bad luck of being shot in the arm in a drive-by shooting in front of a bar. To make a few bucks as a hunting guide, he borrowed a dog from his friend Bud Stilts for an expedition in the woods, but the dog chased after a bear and then ran away. A man found the dog and returned it to the bar Carl was working at, and Carl, relieved to have it back, gave the man $35 as a reward, plus $15 worth of free drinks.